Hello there, so we're taking a look at tomorrow's newspapers with Angela Levin, journalist and writer, and Graham Davies, political presentation consultant. Welcome back to both of you. Let's talk about Afghanistan now, shall we, which has focused on one of those soldiers who was named today to have died.
This is a very humbling story. This man, Andrew Fentman, only 23, put his own career on hold. He's an IT guy because he wanted to serve in the Territorial Army in Afghanistan. Now, he's not a professional soldier, but he went there doing the most dangerous job of walking down, trying to find bombs to save them for the soldiers, but also for the Afghani people. And he's got blown up. And if you look at him, you see his proud face and his honourable face, and it makes you feel about all these people who've died. They all seem to be such special individual men, and I think it's a tragedy. We all feel very sorry in this country, I think, for the individuals who are dying. They are individuals rather than mass numbers. And he wrote in his blog just a couple of weeks ago that he was waiting for new kit that the MOD hasn't sent out. They claim that it wouldn't have saved his life, but, you know, we don't know that. It's just very tragic.
Well, I think they do know that because they've tested the kit. The point being that the kit itself was less bulky and lighter, and therefore much more comfortable to wear in terms of body armour. But less, you know, no more protective than the kit that he was in. But nonetheless,
it is a particularly poignant postscript to his life, though, that was one of the last things he communicated about before his death. Again, a plea. A lacking in what we need to actually send to him. Even if it couldn't have saved his life, it still shows that that's one of their concerns at all times.
I mean, these men are so brave. They go out there unprotected and so idealistic to help people and save them.
Well, they're not unprotected, are they? I mean, the point being...
Well, I meant they go out on their own. They are there. They're not in a tank. They're not firing down.
But this
from
is
the
a soldier. It was
skies.
another person that was the bomb disposal expert. So
oh, was it?
Yes,
Oh, I thought
exactly.
he was a bomb disposal expert.
There were two named today. One was a part-time soldier, a volunteer. This guy, Rifleman Fentman. And the other person was the bomb disposal expert.
One
but you're right, indeed, yes, bravery on both counts. One has given up their job, and one that goes out to tackle the improvised explosive devices, which have been largely killing. And we're at 97 now, aren't we? So we're very near 100 who've died this year, meaning this is the most dangerous period for British troops since the Falklands. So, you know, it's been horrific, certainly. Let's move on, shall we, to another story which broke today, which is that mobile phone records have been stolen, and one of the companies had to put their hands up and say, yes, it was us.
Well, there does seem to be a question whether it's merely hundreds of thousands of stolen phone records or possibly millions. And there was an investigation that involved most of the mobile phone providers, and there may well be a prosecution, and it does seem to be a highly organised activity over a long period of time. And the more that technology seems to advance, the less safe that it seems to be for our own personal details. And you do hear lots of strangely naive comments from corporate spokesmen. A spokesman for T-Mobile said, T-Mobile takes the protection of our customer information seriously. And then this happens, and then they say it's deeply regrettable that customer information has been misappropriated in this way.
I mean, they did say it was done completely without their knowledge.
Oh, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it was with their knowledge, but it just seems that it seems to happen all the time, and it's getting less and less safe all the time.
I mean, I think it's been going on for years in one way or another. I mean, companies, I remember working for a company a long time ago that sold all their employees' details, so they had all their addresses and phone numbers, and you get cold calling from all of those people. So it's been going on a long time, but it's much worse now because they know more details about you. I mean, internet providers have a vast amount of detail. It's all part of
store card holders.
Yes.
You know, that's the reason they give it to you, isn't it? So
yes,
that you know,
so they watch your
what
habits.
Shopping.
They know exactly what you're doing. You know, you've got cameras following you all over the place. All your if you go to Amazon and order some books, they know exactly what you like. They come up with all your tastes. You might like this. Go away.
And now, of course, you get not only cold calling to your home telephone numbers, but cold calling messages which are left by tapes on your own voicemail tape, which is infuriating.
I never replied to them.
And the email equivalent of cold calling, bombarded by emails trying to sell you things that you don't want. It's amazing that people used to say, treat your ID details like cash, but we don't, do we? So we've got a lot of lessons to learn on that one. Let's move on to the Daily Express, What isn't everything, we asked you, and the answer is love.
Apparently love doesn't conquer everything. The study...
That's a surprise.
Well, news to me, of course. 2,500 couples who are married or living together over a six-year period were studied on this. Now, the results show that a quarter of relationships will end within 6 years. And, of course, the biggest relationship factors which dictated as to whether these relationships would survive were previous relationships, couples' ages, and whether or not the individual smoked. How very romantic indeed. So the conclusion is there's no hope for any of us. We should all stay at home and look at the internet.
No, not quite.
Oh, you disagree with that one?
I do disagree with that. I'm a sort of romantic, and I think that you start with love and it grows with something else, really. Common interests make sense, don't they? But I think people, just as they change their careers a lot nowadays.
Change their partners a lot.
They change their partners too. It's not the same. You hear people who've been married for 40, 50 years and you think, oh, gosh, that's absolutely amazing. You hear people in jobs for 30, 40 years and think that's amazing, but, nowadays people do neither.
So you don't become more quirky and more uneligible as you get older?
Quirky is good, I think, because then you're not predictable.
I've got a friend who thinks that a marriage should be a contract of 5 years and you can renew it for another 5 if you'd like to, and that's where she goes.
Sounds like more work for lawyers. Excellent.
Well, I'm not sure that's
That's a
true.
good idea.
It might end the divorce spat at the end of all of it. Anyway, let's finish with the Belgians. Why are we talking about the Belgians?
We're talking about the Belgians because Tony Blair might not land the European job. The favourite at the moment is Belgian Prime Minister Herman van Rompuy, who nobody knows outside of Belgium, but everybody's okay about him. He's not a favourite. But the Belgians have then taken advantage of this to give 10 reasons to hate Britain. They include, this is us, they think the world revolves around them. The British refuse to speak any other language, even though the universal language of business is British. They do everything differently, i.e. drive on the left. Their food is horrible, the worst in the world. They drink warm beer. They're real drunks. The weather is worse. I don't know how that's our fault, but never mind. And so on.
To be fair, they do say at the end
3 things they like.
Yes.
Go on. Do you want to say the things
well,
they like?
Well, the main thing, of course, at last they acknowledge that we've been liberators who came to our aid when we were invaded.
Bobbies, buses, and telephone boxes.
We're running out of time. Graham Davies, Angela Levin, thanks very much indeed. All the top stories for you, though, in the Midnight News with Jason. I'll see you soon. Take care.